Warning. This is not a safe space. Leave your bullshit and feelings at the door.
The APA comes out with a study telling us how we should treat men and boys, and it's full of shit. We break it down this episode for you.
It's time for the most raw and unfiltered experience on the internet. So kick your feet up and grab a cold one. You have just entered the Man Cave. And now, here they are, winners of the self-proclaimed International Greatest Men Alive Award, Brad and Terry.
Hey, thanks for joining us here in the Man Cave. I'm Brad.
And I'm Terry.
Hey, make sure to check us out online over on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and listen to us on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Spotify, and YouTube. But if you want that full no-bullshit experience and the ability to win prizes, you're going to have to subscribe to us over on Patreon. We'll talk about that here in a little bit.
What's the beer you brought me today, man?
Man, it is Coronado Brewing Company's Mermaid's Red, brewed in San Diego, California.
Pretty delish.
Delish. Hold on, let me get mine open.
You open that thing with your man card, an essential piece of equipment for every man to carry around.
It's perfect because it fits right in your wallet, so you can take it literally anywhere you go.
Right, and it should be with you anywhere and everywhere that you go, and you can get yours today by going over to Patreon and becoming an official alpha male and get your man card.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about this article the APA put out, and I think you're looking at a different article than I am, because I sent you one after you sent me the one that you're referencing, and mine was written by the APA also. So I think the American Psychological Association has just declared war on masculinity in a sense, possibly.
I would say declared war, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, this paper came out to guide psychologists on how to treat boys and men to deal with their issues of what true masculinity should be.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
So let's hear what you got.
All right. Well, so I did the reading of it, but I'd like to start with one of the doctors had wrote kind of an article on the APA's website before it.
Okay.
And this is when I read this is what made me go, I mean, from the get-go, I was like, this is probably going to be pretty fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But what he wrote there solidified how absolutely retarded the APA is nowadays. It's been taken over politically by the snowflakes of the world. All right, so Dr. Ryan McDermott, which was a psychologist from the University of South Alabama, was one of the guys who helped draft these new APA guidelines, suggested that in contradiction to all social science research, and I quote, "Indeed, when researchers strip away stereotypes and expectations, there isn't much difference between men and women."
In what sense is there not much difference?
Yes. And so that proves that this shit is just, it's patently false by saying that if it's just stereotypes and expectations, right? And this is why I don't really take anything that they are going to say seriously.
Right.
Like you said, are we really going to argue that on a biological level and a psychological level that men and women are exactly the same? It's just the pesky stereotypes and expectations, which, by the way, that as they use the word expectations, it's just a synonym for the phrase of gender roles.
Yeah.
Right? If we just do away with those pesky gender roles, we'd all find that men and women are just, they're all the same.
I think that's completely bullshit. I mean, you can look at so many examples that prove that wrong, not only in the history of mankind, but literally you look at any living creatures on the planet, and there are differences between the two genders of
how many?
There's two, and only two.
Okay.
Yeah, except in extremely rare circumstances where you happen to be both at the same time, but that's still only two.
Yeah, you are male and female at the same time.
Right.
Okay, a little off topic.
Yeah, sorry. We don't need to talk about hermaphrodites.
Yeah, but think of how women are different. Just right? How women and men women are more inherently more nurturing than men. Mm-hmm. One of the things that the report tries to tell men is they shouldn't be competitive. Well, that's because men are indeed different than women. Men are naturally more competitive by nature. And I'd like to kick it back a few years, back to the distant past of 1992. Some of you that are listening may not remember this book, but there was a book written called Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. It was written, like I said, in 1992, and it sold 15 million copies.
In 1992, I was 2 years old, and I remember seeing this book. It was definitely when I was a little older than 2 years old.
Yeah.
But it's a book that a lot of people know about.
Mm-hmm. And what does it make the argument for? That men and women are from entirely different planets.
Yeah.
That's why they're called men are from this place, women are from this place.
Mm-hmm.
Because what he argues in the book is that men and women react differently, they think differently in relationships because men and women are different. Oh, but then you read more of this report, even buried deep in it, of all this nonsense. The report says, quote, "It is also important to encourage pro-social aspects of masculinity. And in certain circumstances, traits like stoicism and self-sacrifice can be absolutely crucial." Closed quote. I 100% agree, but why can't we just put that in? Why is that not part of traditional masculinity? Those things, stoicism, self-sacrifice.
Right.
Why is that not included in it? I think it's because it might exclude some people from the term of masculinity.
Are you saying the men that themselves are not masculine would be excluded from it?
People who don't identify with being stoic and self-sacrifice,
who are men would
Yes.
would then be not masculine.
yes, if we threw that under the umbrella of traditional masculinity, and who
Who gives a shit?
exactly, it's insane. I will give it one a little bit of a kudo.
Okay.
It did argue the point that fathers play a big part in raising their sons,
right.
which I agree with. But I think that fathers should be raising their sons to be men. And men have certain qualities, which is kind of where we started with this show back in episode 1 of what is, when you break it down, what is the bare bones of what makes a man.
Yeah.
And it, like I said, it doesn't have a lot to do with weightlifting, where we went last week with the episode, things like that. You boil it down to the bare basics. It has to do with protecting and providing.
Yeah.
And now we're telling men you shouldn't be protectors. You're just this genderless thing to be partnered with this female.
Yeah.
That's all you are. That is all you. So to me, what this is basically really doing, it's taking away the purpose of men. Men have no purpose anymore.
Other than to help a woman procreate.
Sexist.
Is that sexist of me?
Oh, I think so.
Maybe a little bit, but I don't think so. I think that you're exactly right in everything that you said. I think that the American Psychological Association is just completely off their rocker, has no idea what the fuck they're talking about anymore, because my article that I found from them went, I want to say, a little more radical in a certain direction than what you found. And I'm going to read a quote from their 36-page document talking about masculinity ideology. Okay? And this is a quote, and it says, "The main thrust of subsequent research," that means a lot of research has been done on this, right? So the main thrust of the subsequent research is that traditional masculinity, marked by stoicism, competitiveness, dominance, and aggression, is, on the whole, harmful.
Oh, yeah.
The audacity of that statement.
Competitiveness is harmful.
Stoicism is harmful.
How is being competitiveness is harmful? To who? To whom, I ask?
The people you beat?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, isn't realistically most people being competitive somewhat in nature in everyday life, right? At your job, you're competing against all, like, don't you want to be the best you can be and get the raise?
Yeah.
Then you're competing against every other employee and not being a fucking dirtbag.
Right.
When you show up to work and do your job. You want your boss to look at you like, hey, they know their job, they do their job well. Maybe down the line we should promote them, but you're competing against every other individual. Like, there's no point in time when you realistically should not be competing against somebody. At a minimum, competing against yourself to better yourself.
Ooh, well said. Well said. But this takes another kind of turn in this article, where it starts off by saying that traditional masculinity on the whole is harmful. It goes into say things like traditional masculinity could lead to sexual harassment and assault. These are the people that work at the APA are doctors. You think of a doctor, you think of a pretty smart person.
Someone went to college for probably at least 6 years.
And now where did they lose their way, or is this the way they were taught?
Yeah.
Is this what we've come to now, or now it's doctors saying that being masculine means that now you're at a higher risk of sexually assaulting somebody? Well, that's a scary thought.
Don't hire that man because he looks pretty masculine and he might sexually assault.
Right.
employees.
Well, he carries himself with some confidence and you know he's competitive with the people around him to better himself. He might sexually assault somebody that works with you.
He's not emotional over everything. He's very stoic when he approaches different ideas, and he looks at it with a lot of logic, and he's not very emotional about things. Don't hire him. He's probably going to sexually assault someone later on down the line.
What a terrifying thought.
Just by the way you carry yourself, the fact that you're competitive, stoic, right, and not a overall complete pussy,
Yeah.
means somehow I'm going to sexually assault someone down the line. First off, in the sexual harassment part, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did they read the definition of sexual harassment? Because what I've been taught through the years, it has to be in the workplace, unwanted, and sexual in nature.
I don't think it necessarily has to be in the workplace.
But at least at a minimum, sexual in nature.
Yeah.
How is being competitive, stoic, and all that, how is that sexual in nature? So then it cannot by definition be sexual harassment.
I agree.
You can say maybe I'm harassing somebody with my masculinity, but it is not sexual. Like, that is...
How do you harass somebody with masculinity?
Flex on them all the time. Get up from your desk, John. Motherfucker, I'm going to beat your ass if you don't stand up and take your shit to the fucking shredder.
Call the cops.
He harassed me and told me to clean up my workspace.
Are you ready for more quotes from this article?
Oh.
It gets worse. It does.
Okay.
Because now they try to, with this next one, it almost appears to me that they're trying to appeal to the masculine man and tell him that his traditional masculinity is putting him at risk for his own health. Are you ready?
So I will caveat with this. This is an article about the paper I talked about.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure I know where you're going with this.
Are you ready?
But yeah, this is a good breakdown.
Traditional masculinity ideology has been shown to limit males' psychological development, constrain their behavior, result in gender role strain and gender role conflict, and negatively influence mental health and physical health.
So because read the first part again. What was the first sentence?
Traditional masculinity ideology has been shown to limit males' psychological development.
So because I'm masculine, I'm just a big dummy.
Yep.
What's I would ask this. Okay. What's your evidence?
Yeah.
Show me your evidence.
At the beginning, did this not say they did subsequent research?
Yeah. Show me the evidence. Show me the evidence where what have you defined as the traits of masculinity? And then show me how that correlates to being just psychologically more stupid. you're stretching at this point.
Yeah.
You're grasping at this point.
Oh, yeah. Let's see what else we got here.
Because I've met some weak motherfuckers that were also dumb as a box of rocks.
Oh, yeah. Eating a vegan diet promotes white masculinity. Here's one that I feel like too much is left out here for me to really gather.
The poor vegans now are just...
I don't know, man.
Poor vegans. They don't even know.
Yeah. Here's I'd like you to try to make sense of this excerpt. Though men benefit from patriarchy, they are also impinged upon by patriarchy.
That makes dear doctor,
Ronald F. Levant, EDD, a professor of psychology at the University of Akron.
Not only is he smart enough to become a doctor, he is now supposedly smart enough to teach others that you benefit from it, but then you're also affected by it.
It's a full circle.
You benefit and then you're fucked by it.
Yeah.
You just can't. Then does that make it like a neutral? So then the patriarchy is just a neutral.
Well, there's no patriarchy. We discussed this in length.
I know, but let's just, in theory, say the patriarchy, he's arguing that the patriarchy is neutral then, because we benefit from it, but then we're, like, fucked by it. So is it just like maybe he's arguing that it's a +7 in the benefits, a -2 in the negative, so, the overall is a +5 kind of thing going on? I don't get it. And again, what's your research? Show me.
Yeah. I mean... They're doctors. They should have some research to back up these statements.
It'd be interesting to sit down with one of these doctors.
Yeah,
I could show him how stupid I am.
He wrote a book, or was a volume of something the APA did called "The Psychology of Men and Masculinities," is what that guy wrote. So he's definitely an expert. Yeah. The new paper also.
I bet he still benches with gloves on.
I bet. I hope they match his purse. The new paper also advises clinics how to address the problems of their own bias when treating boys and men, and urges to address how, quote, power, privilege, and sexism work both by conferring benefits to men and by trapping them in narrow roles.
The privilege. The privilege of being a man.
Is it a privilege nowadays?
You get that privilege of doing worse in school, having more people that are homeless on the streets, or that privileged men, more people that die in wars,
more men are in jail.
More privileged men are in jail. More privileged men commit suicide than women.
Yep.
All those privileges to just be the privilege of potentially being drafted through selective service. It's such a privilege.
Sure is.
Yeah. And then remember that privilege to be a man and the patriarchy, because that'll kind of caveat once we're done with this into the next thing that we will talk about, the next article. Okay. But keep going.
That's all I got. The next thing the last thing I can say about this is the first comment on this article is these fucking soy boy academics can fuck right off.
He must listen to the man cave.
He must.
I would end it with saying, man, I remember growing up, like, being told, like, just what about diversity? What about diversity? Why can't everybody just be what they want to be?
Yeah.
Why can't you just be happy? Because that's what I was taught. Just be happy being what you want to be.
Yeah.
And if I want to be a traditionally, with the air quotes going, a masculine man, why is that a problem?
With all of the talks and everyone throwing out the acceptance of whatever you want to be, why the fuck is it not okay for me to be a traditional masculine man?
As long as I am not physically or emotionally, which they would argue I am, but hurting someone else.
Yeah.
What does it matter to you?
Well, I would argue that if you're hurting somebody else, that kind of takes away from you being a traditional man.
And I think that's an argument that we made in the first episode is I think they don't understand. A lot of people don't understand what most masculine men define as being a masculine man.
Right.
They associate just, beer drinking and weightlifting and all this, stuff, which we like, we enjoy. Obviously, we drink beer on the show and we both go to the gym, but that's not the deep down definition of being a man.
No, and it goes back to what we started this whole thing about, and what we proclaimed our purpose was way early in the episodes that we made, and it is almost to educate and fight against people who want to eliminate this traditional masculinity. But I think because I think there's a lot of men out there that are on the exact same wavelength as us, and they have no voice, and I really want to become that voice, and I think that we have a good platform to do it, and we need to start educating people on what being a traditional man and being masculine actually is.
To the soy boy snowflakes, I'm going to tell you this. Here's a bit of truth. The world has chaos in it.
Yeah.
The world has shit in it.
Constantly.
That is stuff that doesn't give a shit about what you think. It will come here and it will destroy whatever it wants to. Right? Who's going to stand up to it? Who? It's not going to be a bunch of pussified little boys that grew up thinking that they can just be in touch with I'm not saying don't be in touch with your feelings. I think men should seek psychological counseling for things if they need it.
Oh, yeah.
But at the end of the day, when shit hits the fan, because this world has chaos in it. It has people who want to wish other people harm. And who the fuck is going to stand up to that?
Yeah.
Not a bunch of pussies who have been taught their entire lives to just sit back and it's okay to be a big soft piece of crap and cry at every turn of everything that life throws at you. It is not that. We need traditionally masculine, hardcore men to stand up to that crap, or else the chaos will take over the world because no one was there to stand up to it.
Man,
you got a boner after that one, didn't you?
Yeah, I got
that was off the cuff.
Yeah, I got a big boner.
Big one.
Let me tell you about this boner.
Okay.
Right. So, here's a funny story about when I was in the gym a couple days ago.
Okay.
Right. And I didn't pop a boner. Okay, in the gym, but I was doing my workout. Me and my workout partner were walking out the gym, and this pretty hot chick was in front of us. I thought she had her headphones on, but she definitely didn't, because we had just got off the scale, and my buddy was pumped. He was like, "Hey man, because we don't weigh ourselves every day," and he was like, "Yeah, I put on 5 pounds." He's trying to gain weight, and I was like, "That's awesome, man." And I had put on a couple pounds myself, and he was like, "Yeah, man, you've gained like 5 pounds since the last time we weighed ourselves." I'm like, "Yeah, sweet," And I said it loud. I was like, "Yeah, 5 pounds of dick," and then this chick just turns and looks right at me, and me and my buddy just start laughing our asses off, but she gave me the dirtiest look, which I totally deserved.
Oh, I was hoping she would just look at you. You could look at her, give her a head nod, and be like, "What's up? What's up?"
Yeah.
I blew the one in the elevator. I blew that shot in the elevator, but I'm not blowing the shot here.
Yeah. But,
damn, girl.
Yeah.
You.
Yeah, and
your mom was a beaver.
Damn. But women always say they appreciate the little things, right? They always like he's great. He can listen. He does all the little things, right? They always say they appreciate the little things until you whip it out.
They don't appreciate that little thing.
No, they not so much. But
All right, hey. So to catch up to where we talked about the privilege, and I said that'll caveat into our next story, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody caught this. Came out a few days ago that a surprise study: men face more discrimination than women. This episode is all about the man today.
Okay.
All about the man. Feminists say that women are the most oppressed gender and that men live in a haven of patriarchal rule. But a new study from the University of Essex and the University of Missouri Columbia have published in a journal, the PLOS One, says otherwise. Women are better off in more countries than men are, a new study has found which was reported by the Daily Mail. A method that assesses the forms of hardship and discrimination facing men and women has revealed males have it harder in 91 countries out of the 134. Women were disadvantaged in only 43.
How about that?
In
I'm
just gonna say, in your face.
Does the article go into in what ways the disadvantage is?
You could probably look at the actual study and find out what their rubric is for their measurement.
Yeah,
but it just kind of goes. The article goes into which countries break down for being the worst for men, the best for men, the worst for women, the best for women.
Well, I don't like to leave loose ends like that. I'd like to know more specifics. So we'll do some research here on the Man Cave, and we'll post an article on the page, or at least a write up of our findings. We'll look into it a little more, and we'll post something about it because I'm interested in that.
Okay. What standards they're using to measure it by?
Because I bet we will find some very similar items to things we have talked about.
Mm-hmm.
I wager that we will find some similarities between the study and the Man Cave podcast.
Probably.
Yeah.
Hey, don't forget to check us out over on Facebook at the official Man Cave Podcast, over on Twitter at the Man Cave 14, on Instagram at the Man Cave Podcast. You can catch us over on YouTube as well. But for that full, no safe space, no bullshit experience, check us out and subscribe to us over on Patreon. For only $1, you're going to get entered to win the Beer of the Month Club, valued at $120. That's 3 months worth, getting a 12-pack of beer. Only $1 to do it. And for $5 a month, you're not only going to get entered to win the prizes, you'll get that man card for all of your beer opening needs. You'll get exclusive access to special podcast episodes, exclusive access to tell us what you want us to talk about, and give us feedback on topics from every podcast. And once again, shit, you'll get on the show.
Yeah, and we got the koozies finally after much heartache.
Yeah.
Of trying to get these koozies in. We finally got them. We're going to send them out to all our patrons. But while on the subject, we want to thank our patrons. Thank you to Lance, Rachel, Zach with a K, Zach with an H, Mark, Curtis, Martin, Jeremy, and Rudimac. We really appreciate everything that you guys do. And I can't wait to give that awesome Beer of the Month Club prize to one of you.
Well, shit. You ain't got to go home. You can't stay with us. We'll see you next time here in the Man Cave.
Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Any real man would follow us on Patreon for exclusive content and prizes at patreon.com/The Man Cave Podcast. The Man Cave. No safe spaces, no bullshit.